Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is part 3 of the Metal Gear Solid Remake series I'm doing in Blender. First of all, I'd like to say shout out to the guy Hideo Kojima. Even though he was banned from the Video Game Awards, which was, I found crazy as hell. But if it wasn't for him, Konami wouldn't be the Konami they are today. So shout out to the guy Hideo Kojima. Um, Pretty much, I'm doing a continuation of the series. Today, I'll be doing um, basically the mechanics of the Genome Soldier. It's going to be a part 2 to this as well because right now I'm doing the patrolling system, and in the next video we'll be doing like alerts, like when he sees Snake and how they react and stuff. Um, it got kind of lengthy, so that's the only reason I had to break it up into two different videos, which is all good though. Um, Right now, we'll be showing I got the video sped up a little bit because I'm going through some of the modeling and stuff and a little bit of the animating that I'm doing right now. As you can see while watching the video, I'm animating the idle for right now. Then eventually I'll do the legs, and then the video will start. I'll stop the video again to explain the different mechanics that I'm doing. So you guys enjoy.
Amsterdam and that styrofoam with a handful of ice and some cold Sprite. The perfect combination that had me faded all night. A couple times from that black, I had me feeling just right. And I be waving in this beach like a tail on a kite. I've been sipping for a while, so much that I can't even think. I can't find the ashtray, so I'ma dump them in the sink. Trying to hold a conversation with this chick I barely know. Contemplating on how her body look underneath the clothes. I'm a trippin', I know you know it. I'ma laugh a little harder just to show her that I'm focused. I don't even get the jokes, I'm just hoping that she joking. I keep staring at her ass, I'm just hoping she don't notice. I mean, I'm interested, but that's not what my interest is. Drop dead gorgeous homicide, how she killing it. Dress slick, painted on, damn how she getting it. I got my game on, and I hope the shot it feeling it. The perfect picture that she sipping, gotta feel it right. And I'ma keep that liquor coming just to be polite. From other niggas watching from a distant satellites. They got the game fucked up, but I'ma get it right. She said, excuse me, I ain't feeling right. And I don't wanna say it, but I just might. Please don't judge me what I'm about to say, let it light. And then she whispered in my ear, kinda sounded like, you can have this here for one night. 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 So won't you show me what to do? I do what you want me to, whenever you want me to, however you want me to. I thought I'd show you what to do. You do what I want you to, however I want you to, whenever I want you to. I'm surrounded by loud pack aroma and 12 packs of Coronas. I'm standing right by the bar and just gripping on my Corona. Shawty looking like a Rubik's, all them squares in the.
All right, guys, as you can see, I started to plug in the idle animation, but I kind of went back on that. I'll save that one for later on. But what I have done, I've made a navigation block. Shift A, and I added a square, and I named it, navigation or route 1. And I set a tracking to it. So the player, every time I press the play button, the player, as you can see now, he tracks to the route, or the kind of like a spawn point. Well, not a spawn point, but like a route point. Basically, he's tracking to it, and that's going to be the whole basis of our patrolling. This patrolling system. We'll duplicate several of these blocks, and we have to set up the logics where he, hits all of them in a, kind of in a timely manner, like a routine patrol, like soldiers and other I guess enemies you see in certain games do. Right now, I clicked on the navigation block and I pressed Shift D and I moved it over on its Y-axis. Now we're doing this. Also, we have to make it a property, a game property, onto the left-hand side of the screen. You'll see game properties, and I named it Path 2, I believe, and I turned it into a float. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna kind of straighten these out a little bit, kind of like put these blocks on opposite ends of the platform. Let's see how the player reacts to it. You know, give them a little bit of walking space. I was thinking about creating four blocks, but I think three will be better because I'm on the once I put them in the game scene. There was two enemies in the initial scene in Metal Gear Solid 1. And then I think a third one came on the when the elevator came down. That's when the third guy came into play. So I'm probably gonna. I made three blocks, but I'm most likely gonna just use two. Just have those guys on opposite ends of the room. But anyway, all right, guys. When I click back onto the enemy movement box, you see I have an always sensor connected to my motion and an edit object. The edit object is tracks to the first navigation block. And I also have the armature linked up to the movement block so that it shows the character walking as the block's moving. Next thing I did was add a collision on the add sensor, and I typed in the property. Then I typed in the property path 1. I think I had to go back in here and check and make sure that I typed in the names that I put in for the properties are the same names that I put in under the collision tab that says property. Because if you don't, it will mess the whole thing up. It won't be working and you'll be wondering why, scratching your head. Alright, except then I'm going to name this one path 1. Kind of name my blocks to kind of know where, what goes where. Next I'll be adding an edit object. With that edit object, I'll connect my collision to the edit object, and I'll change this edit object to track 2. And I'll also, as far as the what's the track 2, it'll be the navigation block 2. Yeah, I named it wrong, I know, but I have nav block 1, nav block 2, but you guys know what I mean. The second navigation block is what the first collision path needs to be headed towards. Alright, connected the other edit object to the collision, and let's see what happens. It's moving kind of slow, but I don't know if he warped or did he turn around or he just warped. Oh yeah, I gotta add in the third navigational block. It looks pretty good though. He's walking pretty good. Yeah, I definitely have to add in the other one. Okay, that's cool. It's real smooth. Alright, one quick thing. Let me get rid of this always sensor under the genome movement block. We're gonna get rid of that always, and we're gonna add a property. I think this will work out a lot better than the always sensor. Like I said, that's what I was gonna mostly use for the idle, but I'll like I said, it'll probably be in the second video when I jump back to that. So I added a property, and I named it. I gave it an evaluation type equal, and I put in the path, and I also selected true. I moved it up over the collision. Now everything's still going to be working, as it was with the always sensor. All right, now we have to add some properties in, and this will be on the actuator side of the genome movement. You see, I added one property. I added a sign. I have set the value to 2, and of course the property will be path. All right, now I'm going to get rid of this AND sensor, that's the AND controller that's connected to this first collision. And I'll add another AND controller, and I'll connect that one to the property. That edit object, we'll basically do the same thing to the edit object on top of that's on top of the property over on the actuator side. We'll do the same thing with that one next. So we added another property. Of going back to this property, I still selected false and added the value of 0. And now we've gotten to the paths 2's property. And we keep the evaluation type equal. Property will be path, and we'll set the value to 2. And we're going to connect that one with the edit object that ain't connected on the actuator side, as well as the motion, so you can keep them walking and keep them striding toward the individual blocks. Alrighty. Alright, let's add another collision here. And that collision will go to the property that we just made, which is path 2's property. This will be the same thing. I did not check the false button there, but I'll get that on the way back. Alright, gotta check the name of my blocks. Kind of had a few inconsistencies of what I named the blocks, so naming things are very important. It can help you out, help you from getting lost. Learn that from me. You see now, connected the collision to the AND controller, and made another property. We'll basically do the same thing to this property as we did to the one above it, except we'll be changing the value to 3. Alright. I'm probably gonna go ahead and name the properties and the controllers. Keep it settled here. Alright. Like I said, pretty much from here is just deja vu. A lot of copy and repeat. I'll be repeating the same process for this last block as I did for the first 2 blocks. With that said, the mechanics part is pretty much done. I'll leave the rest to you guys. Like I said, you can have as many blocks as you want, depending on how big the map is and how far you want your enemy characters, to walk and patrol the different areas. So I'm pretty much done here on my end. Like I said, all I need is 2 blocks, and have 2 guys on that first level to be walking around. Maybe in the future, when I start to develop the different levels of the very first Metal Gear Solid, of course, I have a lot more guys walking around and patrolling different things, but that's for the future. And that's a wrap. Now, you guys stay tuned for part 2 of this series. As far as for the Genome Soldiers mechanics, I'll be going over the alert system, like when he spots Snake and stuff, and how we're gonna configure that. Of course, I'll be using Logic Bricks. And you guys take it easy and stay tuned till next time. Remember to subscribe to Twitter at UrbanCGTV. Also, I got a Tumblr page and stuff. I appreciate the support, and let's go, Hideo.